It was a quiet evening on Earth, in a peaceful neighborhood on Luna's western arcology. 16-year-old Jonas Vale sat in his small room, listening to a message he had saved weeks ago. The voice in the recording was soft and clear. "Jonas, I'm being transferred to the Outer Rim. High Command says we'll be part of a peacekeeping team. Don't worry, I'll be back soon. Save me a seat at the corner cafe." The voice was from Mira, his cousin and closest friend since childhood. They grew up together, laughed under Earth's golden skies, and dreamed about stars. But 2 months ago, Mira joined the humanitarian branch of Earth's Peace Corps. Was sent to a distant planet captured by the Galactic Empire. Since then, no message. No reply. Just silence. Jonas missed her more than he could say. He had no answers. Only empty space between them. That same evening, everything changed. Across Earth, across colonies, on every space station and outpost, all screens turned black and then they lit up. The Galactic Empire, proud and arrogant, had hacked every major broadcast channel. What followed was a silent, terrible message. No words. Just a slow, terrifying visual. 9 million humans, peacekeepers, medics. Diplomats lined up in rows under glowing alien skies. There was no sound, no screams, but one by one, the lights above them blinked red, and then they were gone. Jonas's heart stopped. His breath caught in his throat. He stared wide-eyed, his fingers trembling. The camera zoomed in on the uniforms of those standing in limelight blue suits. The Earth's Peace Corps, his vision blurred. That was Mira's uniform. He didn't know if she was among them. He didn't know if she was gone. He only knew one thing: he couldn't sit still anymore. The next morning, Earth was different. People walked in silence. No one smiled, but no one panicked. Something was growing in the air. Grief, yes, but something more. Resolve. Jonas went to the memory wall downtown. It had appeared overnight. Tall, glowing surface filled with names. New names were being added every hour. Volunteers, soldiers, scientists. Medics, all confirmed victims of the massacre. He searched the names again. Again, Mira wasn't listed. Not yet. That gave him hope. A small flicker. Enough to move. Jonas didn't know what to do, but he knew he had to do something. So he joined the local memorial team. They weren't fighters. They were record-keepers, people who would write stories, collect memories, and make sure that the lost were not forgotten. Jonas didn't have fancy skills, just had a voice and a heart full of words. He began writing about Myra. She laughed like sunlight. She gave her food away before eating. She cried when the stars were too beautiful. He sent his story to the Earth Memory Archive. He didn't expect a reply, but then one came. "Your story has been selected for the official memory broadcast. Jonas, thank you. The galaxy must hear who Mira is." His eyes filled with tears. She wasn't just a name on a list. She was light. She was love, and she was still alive in his words. That night, Jonas stood with thousands in the city square. A giant screen lit up. His voice played his story of Mira, read by a gentle speaker. Faces across the crowd closed their eyes. Some smiled. Some cried. On a distant world, in a hidden place where signals were banned, a human prisoner heard a single name spoken aloud. Mira Vale. Her breath caught. Her hands trembled. She was alive. She whispered, "Jonas, remember? Me. Back on Earth." Jonas didn't know Mira had heard him. He didn't know that his small action had brought light into a dark cell on a forgotten world. But he stood taller now. He looked at the stars. It's not with sadness, but with hope. If stories could travel that far, if names could echo across the void, then love was never truly gone. The stars felt quiet. Even days after the broadcast, Jonas Vale still walked with heavy steps. His thoughts were always on Myra, his cousin, his friend, his light in the dark. She had moved so far away, taken by duty, by courage, and by hope. And now, maybe by war. The sadness in his heart was deep. He missed her voice, her soft laugh, her quiet advice, whenever he felt small or lost. And now, with 9 million lives stolen on live broadcast, he wondered if he'd ever hear from her again. But something had changed inside him. This time, he didn't feel helpless. In the capital city of New Geneva, world leaders gathered in the Unity Hall. Jonas wasn't there. But he watched the moment like billions of others. The president of Earth, a calm woman named Selena Kai, stood before the cameras. Her voice was soft, not angry. They did not just take lives. They tried to erase identity, kindness, memory. She paused. Her eyes glistened. This was not a battle. This was a massacre. This was genocide. The word fell heavy across the stars, and for the first time, Earth did not declare war with weapons. It declared truth with the whole galaxy watching. Jonas felt something stir in him. It wasn't rage. It was something stronger. Responsibility. He signed up to help with a new project called Light Echo, a system Earth created to send emotional messages into space. Not encrypted military data, but memories, stories, and voices. It was Earth's way of refusing to let those lives fade. Jonas wrote about Mira again. This time it wasn't just a memory. He wrote as if he were speaking to her now. Mira, if you're out there, I'm still here. I remember you every day. I hope you're alive. I don't know how to reach you, but I believe you'll find this. The message was uploaded to the Light Echo servers. Jonas didn't know where it would go. Maybe nowhere, maybe everywhere. But it felt good to try. That was humanity's gift. They didn't stop when things seemed impossible. They didn't fight only with weapons. They fought with words, love, and remembrance. On the other side of the galaxy. Deep inside an Empire prison world called Drexel 7, Mira lay in her cell. She didn't cry anymore. She had cried every day for a month. She had believed Earth forgot them. Then one night, a guard who had once studied on Earth dropped something by mistake. Small device. Illegal. Forbidden. But real. When the lights went out, Mira turned it on. The screen glowed. It read, Light Echo Broadcast for Mira Vale. Her breath caught. It was Jonas's voice. She covered her mouth with shaking hands. Her heart broke and healed at once. He remembered he was reaching out. He was alive, and through the dark hope grew. Back on Earth, Jonas didn't know his voice had reached her. He only knew the Light Echo project was growing. People from every continent were sending out messages. It was like a giant web of voices woven across space. Even alien worlds were beginning to listen. Some sent letters back. One day, Jonas received a call from an alien historian on the planet, Virali Prime. The alien's name was Tassan, and she spoke slowly in perfect English. Jonas Vale, we received your message. I want you to know. Your cousin Myra is known in our records. She was registered at Drexel 7 2 months ago. I do not know if she is still there. But your voice was heard. Jonas gasped. Wasn't confirmation, but it was something. A thread. A path, maybe. Just maybe. She was still alive. He ran to the memory wall and added a message beneath Mira's name. She might be out there. She heard me. I won't stop. None of us will. The loud people around him began adding their own messages. I still believe. We're not forgotten. Home is waiting. Soon the entire wall glowed with more than names. It shined with hope. That night, Jonas walked home under the stars. He still missed Mira. He still didn't know how to reach her fully. But now, he believed in something deeper than sadness. Humanity had lost 9 million souls. They had not lost themselves. They had chosen memory over silence, connection over revenge, hope over despair. And Jonas, he had chosen to speak. To believe, because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is, I still care. It had been over a month since the broadcast. Jonas Vale still couldn't stop thinking about Mira. Every night before sleeping, he stared at the stars, wondering which one she was near. Was she safe? Was she scared? Did she know Earth was still standing, still remembering her? The distance between them felt heavier each day. He had written her name on the memory wall. But now the wall was not just a list of names. It had become something more. It was alive. Every day more people came. To write stories, leave poems, share art, and light candles. And not just humans. Aliens came too. Refugees, students, travelers, everyone had been touched by the tragedy. And through this growing collection of love and memory, something beautiful was happening. Hope was spreading. Jonas joined the Memory Keepers, a small team of volunteers, who helped organize the thousands of daily messages being added to the wall. Their job was simple: collect stories, translate messages, and share them through Earth's new light echo broadcasts. But to Jonas, it meant more than just data work. It was a way to feel close to Mira. One evening, while reviewing messages, he found a note that stopped his heart. To the boy who wrote about Miravalli, think I saw her. She sang when we were locked up. A lullaby about clouds. Jonas blinked. He remembered that song. Mira used to sing it when they were little. It was something their grandmother taught. Then was this real? Could it be true? He didn't know who sent the message. It was anonymous. But it was the first time someone else confirmed what he believed. She might still be alive, Jonas. Didn't know how to reach her, but he had to try again. He sat down that night and recorded a new message for the Light Echo Project. Mira, I heard someone say you sang. If you're still singing, I'm still listening.
I miss you.
I'm scared too, but I believe in you. I don't know how to reach you, but I'll keep trying. He paused, then added softly, I still remember the cloud song. He pressed send all over the galaxy. Voices were rising. A group of students on Europa created a digital art collection called The Sky of Names, where each star was linked to a story of someone lost. On Mars, a choir of children sang songs written by the fallen. In the floating cities of Venus, engineers projected messages of peace onto the clouds above. The memory wall became a symbol not just of loss, but of human unity. One alien poet wrote, they killed the bodies, but Earth made the memories louder. Mira sat in her small, cold cell on Drexel 7, surrounded by silence. Each day was long. The guards spoke little, food was thin, but something had changed in her heart. She had heard Jonas. She had cried for hours after hearing his voice in the secret message. She had remembered the cloud's song, and even now, she sometimes hummed it softly to herself at night under her breath. So the guards wouldn't hear. Her fellow prisoners began listening. One asked, what is that song? She replied with a tired smile, it's home. One of the other prisoners, a small alien technician named Relu, asked her if she would help fix a broken relay hidden inside a pipe. Mira was surprised, but why? She asked. Relu whispered, we think we can bounce a message out. One word, maybe two. Myra's heart raced. She nodded. They worked together in the shadows, quietly, carefully. One night they got it working. The message was short, just 4 words, still alive. Keep hope. They didn't know if it would reach Earth, but that wasn't the point. It was a sign. 2 weeks later, Jonas received a strange alert. A flagged message had arrived from an unknown origin. His supervisor said it was likely corrupted, but Jonas opened it anyway. 4 words blinked on the screen, still alive. Keep hope. His hands shook. It didn't say her name, but deep in his heart, he knew it was her. The next day, he returned to the memory wall. He didn't bring flowers or candles this time. He brought a paintbrush, and across the side of the wall, in big blue letters, he wrote, she's out there. She's not done singing. People stopped to look. They smiled. They believed that night. As the memory wall glowed in the city's heart, a quiet boy sat beneath it and watched as strangers lit lanterns, shared stories, and added their own hopes. He still missed Myra. He still didn't know how to reach her fully. But now, he knew she was trying to, and that meant everything. Because humanity wasn't giving up. They were growing louder, stronger, more united. Because even when you feel distant, even when you don't know the way, you keep hoping, you keep reaching, you keep singing. Jonas Vale sat on the roof of his building, legs dangling over the edge, watching the stars shimmer above. He liked it up here, quiet, open, high enough to feel like he was almost reaching the sky. But tonight, the stars didn't feel peaceful. They felt far away. He held a small photo in his hands. A picture of Mira, smiling beside him near the old observatory on Earth. It was the last photo they took before she left on her mission. Jonas stared at her smile, his chest tight. "I miss you," he whispered. He didn't know if his messages were still reaching her. Maybe she couldn't reply. Maybe she had forgotten him. Maybe she was gone. The doubt felt heavy, like a cold wind in his chest. But then he remembered her last voice message before she left. "Jonas, if I get lost, find me in the stars. I'll always be singing." The next morning, Jonas returned to the memory wall. People had started writing songs, poems, dreams instead of just names. A group of students from Neptune's colony had written a play about hope and sent it to the wall. Artists from Alpha Centauri sent glowing images of each POW they could identify. A Martian girl recorded lullabies and broadcast them into space. Jonas smiled. Earth wasn't giving up, not at all. But something new was happening now. Those were. Speaking up, a surprising news report broke across Earth's networks. A merchant ship from the Empire, led by an alien captain named Velo Rin, had defected. He flew his entire crew into neutral territory and delivered something shocking: classified transmissions from the Empires. Military leaders the documents showed how the massacre had been ordered. But they also revealed something else. Not everyone in the Empire agreed. Some officers had protested. Some had cried. People were grieving. Jonas watched the interview, with Velo Rin closely. The alien's voice was rough but kind. "I was part of the trade fleet. I didn't see the war. I only saw people. I saw humans help my cousin when she crashed near Titan. I couldn't stay silent anymore." Jonas felt something strange rise. In his chest, connection, compassion, even from someone on the other side. That evening, Jonas helped design a new part of the memory wall. It was called Shared Voices. It would collect stories not just from humans, but from anyone, any race. Any world who had seen the truth and wanted to help. The first message came from a retired Empire scientist. "I made tech that sent signals. I didn't know it would be used to erase people. Now, I use it to spread your names. We were told humans were dangerous, but my son was saved by one. We believe you." The more messages came in, the more Jonas felt his hope growing stronger again. Mira was still distant, but now he didn't feel alone in missing her. People across the stars, people who had once followed the Empire, were opening their hearts too, and that made all the difference. On Drexel 7, in a dim and silent prison cell, Mira held onto a memory. A small image made of light, sent to her by a prisoner who managed to hack into a ship's signal before being moved. The image was simple. It was a wall of names, glowing like a river, but in the corner she saw a photo. Jonas and her laughing. She gasped. She hadn't seen that photo in so long. Underneath it was a single line: "I'll keep building bridges." She couldn't cry anymore, but her heart beat faster. He was still. They're still remembering, still hoping back on Earth. Jonas got a strange new message on his personal account. It came from someone he didn't know. "You don't know me, but I work near the Drexel system. I saw a prisoner singing once, a girl with dark hair. She sang about clouds. I think it was Mira." Jonas froze. It wasn't proof, wasn't certain, but it was another voice, another thread, another reason to keep going. Later that night, Jonas stood in front of the Shared Voices wall. He looked up and spoke softly. "You may be far, Mira, but you're not forgotten. I'm not giving up." People around him listened, and across the stars, in quiet corners and strange lands. Others began speaking too. The Empire was still large, still dangerous, but its silence was cracking. Not because of war, but because of stories, because of memory, because humanity didn't give up on love. Not ever. Jonas Vale walked slowly down the main street of New Geneva, his eyes looking up at the floating lanterns that filled the sky. It was the day of remembrance, a quiet day, hopeful day. A day where people remembered those who were taken and promised to never forget. He held a small lantern in his hands, glowed softly with blue light. On the side, he had written just one word: Mira. It had been nearly 2 months since the broadcast. 2 months since Earth saw the unthinkable. 2 months since Jonas started writing messages, sharing memories, and sending hope into space. He still missed her every day. Sometimes the sadness would come in waves. Walking past the cafe where they used to sit, hearing someone laugh in a voice that sounded like hers, looking up at the stars and wondering if she was still alive, or if she had. It's become just another name. But Jonas had changed. He was not just a boy waiting anymore. He was part of something bigger. All around him, people worked together. Earth cities had become centers of unity and connection. Engineers built new satellites to send peaceful messages farther. Artists painted huge murals of the fallen. Teachers created lessons about memory and kindness. Musicians wrote songs that echoed across the stars. Every colony, Luna, Mars, Europa, and the asteroid belts, joined the effort. They called it the Archive of Light. It wasn't a weapon. It was a gift. Every story mattered. Every voice counted, and slowly, the galaxy began to change. Jonas now helped manage a traveling memory station called the Starling, a peaceful ship that moved from world to world. Sharing human stories, it carried no soldiers. It's only songs, letters, artwork, and lights. The Starling became famous. People from other planets lined up to visit it. They didn't want to hear about battles. They wanted to hear about courage, love, connection. They wanted to know how humanity stayed together through so much pain. And Jonas always told them the truth. We remembered and we refused to let that memory fade. One day, while loading new stories into the Starling's library, Jonas paused at a message. It was written in a strange language, one he didn't recognize. But the translation read, "I heard the voice of a human girl singing in the dark. It sounded like longing and hope. I think she was someone important." His heart beat faster. Could it be Mira? Another piece. Another clue. He didn't know. But he printed the message and kept it in his pocket, just in case. On Drexel 7, Myra sat in a narrow room that was no longer quite a cell. The guards had changed. The old ones were gone. The new ones were softer, quieter. They didn't smile, but they didn't hurt anyone either. Something had shifted. Rumors spread among the prisoners. The Empire was under pressure. Some planets were pulling away. Others were asking questions. All because Earth refused to stay silent, Mira kept singing. Softly, just a few notes, the clouds songed. And one day, a technician who brought her water stopped in the hallway and whispered, "They're talking about you on the archive ship." Mira blinked. "Me." The technician nodded. "A boy writes stories. He says he believes you're still alive. He hopes you're listening." Squeezed. Jonas back on Earth. Jonas sat under the memory wall again. It was bigger now, taller, glowing like a second sun. Messages from 100 worlds danced across it in every language. But tonight, he felt far away again. No new signs, no new clues. Just silence. He closed his eyes and whispered, "Mira, if you're out there. I still don't know how to reach you, but I'm trying. I'm trying so hard." Soft voice spoke behind him. It was an old woman, a stranger. She placed a hand on his shoulder. "Hope is not wasted, young one. It's the only thing that crosses the distance." Jonas looked at her, surprised. She smiled kindly. "I lost my sister once. I thought she was gone. But she heard my story, and she found her way back." Jonas nodded, his eyes wet. "Then I'll keep writing." That night, he added one more. "Message to the light ecosystem. You don't have to speak yet. Just listen. That's enough. We're still connected. I know it." And across the galaxy, a quiet girl in a cold place smiled into the dark because she was listening, and she wasn't giving up either. Ona's Veil stood on a raised platform inside the Great Hall of Justice, deep within the orbiting station called Aurora 1. The room was full humans. Aliens, diplomats, translators, journalists. But he felt alone. He looked out at the rows of faces. Somewhere out there, maybe hidden among all the stars, was Myra. He missed her every single day, even though he had shared her name with millions. Even though songs were written about her and her voice was remembered in the stars, he hadn't heard directly from her, not once. No message. No reply. It was like reaching out into space with open hands and only catching silence. But Earth didn't stop reaching. The planet had built this courtroom not for punishment but for truth. It was called the Tribunal of Light. It was the first of its kind. It wasn't made by armies or empires. It was built by teachers, writers, scientists, and peacekeepers. The message was clear. Justice can be peaceful, and memory is more powerful than weapons. Jonas had been chosen to speak because of the stories. He had written stories of Myra, of love, of human strength. He stepped forward and placed a small hollow photo of Myra on the stand. Then he spoke, quietly but strong. I am not a soldier. I'm just a boy who misses someone. Her name is Mira Vale. She believed in kindness. She helped people. She never carried a weapon. She sang songs about clouds. He took a breath, and she was taken. Just like millions of others, the hall stayed silent. We're not here to destroy anyone. We're here to remember. So this doesn't happen again. It's not to us. Not to you. He stepped back, his hands shaking. He didn't know if Mira would ever hear his words, but still he believed. On Drexel 7, Mira sat beside a small vent in her new workroom. After the trials began, conditions had changed. The guards were no longer cruel. The food was better. Sometimes, they even let the prisoners watch the neutral broadcasts. That's how Mira saw it. The tribunal, and Jonas. His voice echoed through the room. She pressed her hands to her face as tears slipped through her fingers. He was alive. He remembered her. He still believed. She wasn't allowed to send messages. Not yet. Not officially. But Relu, her alien friend, had found another way. We can send 6 words, he said. That's all the channel allows. Mira thought carefully. Then she whispered the message. Relu nodded and sent it. On Aurora 1, Jonas sat quietly after the hearing. He had done his part. He felt tired, but also proud. Then his datapad lit up. A message. 6 words. Unknown source. I remember clouds. I miss you. His breath caught. It was her. It was really her. He stared at the screen, unable to speak. She was out there. She was still holding on. Jonas didn't tell anyone right away. He just sat alone on the balcony of the station, looking at the stars. They didn't feel so distant. Anymore, he wasn't reaching into silence. Now he was reaching through it, and someone was reaching back. The Tribunal of Light made history. The Empire governor who signed the genocide order was found guilty, not sentenced to death, but made to face the truth. He was ordered to listen to every name, every story, every voice. And the galaxy saw that justice didn't have to mean revenge. It could mean remembering. A week later, Chna spoke again, this time not to a courtroom. He spoke in a public message. To the entire galactic network. To anyone who has lost someone, don't give up. Distance is big. Silence is heavy. But love is louder. We're human. We don't stop. We remember. We rebuild. And even when we feel alone, we're not. People across hundreds of worlds played the message. Some cried, some smiled. Some picked up a pen or a brush and began to create again. Because of him. Because of Mira. Because of Earth. And on a quiet planet far away. Mira Vale stood near a signal dish, staring at the stars. She smiled softly. The trial was over, but their story wasn't. It was just beginning. Jonas Vale stood on a hill outside the rebuilt city of New Geneva. The sky above him was full of soft colors, hints of blue, pink, and golden sunlight reflecting through a new network of peace satellites that now circled the planet. Years had passed since the broadcast, but Jonas still remembered the moment everything changed, the silence after the horror, the deep ache of missing Myra, and the helpless feeling of not knowing how to reach her. Even now, though the world had moved forward, he sometimes felt that same sadness. She had moved so far away, first through duty, then through war, and finally, through silence, He still didn't know exactly where she was. He only knew she was free now, and somewhere out there. She was listening. The old memory wall had grown into something beautiful. It wasn't just a wall anymore. It was now a peace garden, a living memorial with trees, flowers, and a stream that hummed with soft music composed from the words and voices of the fallen. People came from across the stars. To visit it, it reminded them that hope didn't die, even when everything else tried to bury it. Jonas worked there now, not as a guard or a speaker, but simply as a guide, someone who walked with strangers and told them the stories behind the names. One morning, a young girl from a distant moon colony approached him. She pointed to a photo of a girl on the wall. "Who is she?" the child asked. Jonas smiled softly. His heart warmed and ached all at once. "That's Mira Vale. She believed in peace. She sang songs about clouds, and she reminded the galaxy that love never stops traveling." On the other side of the stars, Mira Vale sat at a long table inside the Alliance for Sentient Memory, a peaceful group that formed after the trial. The Alliance's job was not to fight but to listen, record, and protect stories across every known species. She wasn't a prisoner. Anymore, she wasn't even a soldier. She was a story keeper. Every day, Mira read messages from people who had lost someone. Some were short, some were long. Some were just drawings or music, but every one of them mattered, and everyone reminded her of. Jonas. Mira had sent messages before, but only through hidden channels. For years, she had wondered if they truly reached him. She had said so much, but never asked the question that stayed in her heart. Does he still think of me? Does he still believe? That evening, Mira stood under the stars at her station's open deck. She turned on her holopen and wrote something small in the air. It was a message meant for just one person. "I'm still singing, Jonas, and I miss you too." She sent it this time, not through secret lines or quiet networks. She sent it through the Peace Net, Earth's new universal broadcast system built after the Tribunal. A signal open to all. A message of memory and love. Back on Earth, Jonas was closing the gates of the Peace Garden when his watch buzzed. A public message. Simple, glowing, clear. "I'm still singing, Jonas, and I miss you too." He froze. His eyes filled with tears. She had heard him. All this time, across all that distance, she had still been there, and now he had heard her too. 1 week later, stood on the landing dock of Earth's main station. For the first time in nearly 5 years, she stepped onto her home planet. People clapped quietly. Some recognized her, most simply smiled. Jonas waited by the arrival doors, holding 2 mugs of warm coffee, just like they used to drink. She saw him before he saw her. She whispered to herself, "You found me." He turned and met her eyes. They didn't speak at first. They didn't need to. She ran to him. He held her close. That night, they walked through the Peace Garden together. Mira touched the memory wall and looked at the photo he had once placed. Smiled. "You never stopped." Jonas nodded. "You never stopped singing." In the days that followed, their story spread across the galaxy. Not because it was the loudest. Not because it was the most dramatic, but because it showed something simple and true. That love, hope, and memory can cross any distance. That even when someone moves away, even when silence grows long, even when the stars feel too far, humanity never gives up. They remember, they reach, they hope. And sometimes miracles answer back.